Let's take a simple look at an example of what we're going to be working on this week. I have a simple timer example open in CodePen. And right now you can see that there's this dialog box that says, hello, the page background is white. And this dialog box appeared almost immediately after the video started, but it's actually set to a timer. And this week we're going to take a look at links, images, and timers. You guys have come a long way in JavaScript, and in fact, you pretty much met all the requirements for the course with the exception of these last two modules. Once we cover jQuery and we do a simple review of Ajax and JSON, then you're on your way through this first JavaScript course. Of course, there's still lots of questions I'm sure you have to answer to get answered, and I want to take care of that before the end of finals. But here we have a page that basically waits 10 seconds to display this message, and then once I click OK, it changes the background color of the page as well as the color of this headline. So let's take a look. I'll reload it. We can see that the text is black, and after 10 seconds then the dialog box will open, and I click OK, and we can see the changes. Now, of course, this text is blue here, and it also changed the it didn't change this paragraph and the ordered list, but it did change it. Let's take a look at what this looks like in CodePen. And I really like CodePen because it's a great place to work in a sandbox and work on your codes, or your coding, should I say. And we can see that it's still working even after we loaded it. On this side we have the HTML. Basically in CodePen, anything that is between the opening and closing body tags you'd want to put here. Not all of your HTML. Any CSS can go here. And then over here is your script. And if we click OK, then we can see the result. But let's look at what's going on here. We have a headline with the identifier timer. And this is the headline that we want to change the color from black to white. And we have some CSS. We haven't stylized the headline, but we have stylized the paragraph and the list. And that doesn't have much of a bearing on what happens. But when we look at it, what we're doing here is we're working with functions. And right here, I've declared a variable that I can use to target an element, right? And then return that value, which is located here. And when we're working with timers, the way timers work is that we use the set timeout method to call a function after a specific time. So in this case, it's 10 seconds, or for 1 second, it's basically 1,000 milliseconds. So it'll be 10,000 milliseconds. So what we've done here is that I've created a function called showText that opens that dialog box to tell you, hello, the page background is white, which is what we saw earlier. And then it sets the document's background color to purple. And then I create a new variable called newText, and I'm targeting this identifier here, this headline, and I'm changing the value for the timer, the text in this headline, to now the page color, background color is purple, and I'm actually stylizing the color to white. And so timers are used for a variety of purposes, particularly things like automated slideshows and other purposes like confirmation from a user over a specific period of time. What you're going to do this week is in the lab, you're going to create a BMI calculator, which is a body mass index, index, which basically tells a person how chubby they are. So my body mass index is extremely high. And you're going to use a timer to display a random image. So first you have to actually create an image, and and then display it, and that will be based and set on a timer. And specifically, after the user submits the form to get their body mass calculated, then a few seconds after, the image should randomly change. That's in the default, that displays by default in the page. Of course, that has nothing to do with this, but this is a very simple view of how a timer works, and you can play around with it to get an idea of a very simple application of a timer, and just before you go on and do the reading. This is a very short chapter, and it's pretty straightforward. The key to the BMI lab number 7 is that you think about bringing together that you are creating an image object and randomly displaying an image based on an event that occurs basically after the user clicks a button, and then the timer calls an event after that click. And this lab might be a little challenging, so I'd recommend you work together on it. But at this point, you pretty much have all of the basic and intermediate JavaScript skills that you need to do this. We'll cover jQuery after Thanksgiving and get our first introduction to a JavaScript framework and library. If you have any questions, post them to the questions forum. There are lots of questions that I need to catch up on and answer that are left open because of my trip to Michigan, and also coming back. We had a little bit of an emergency to attend to with my daughter, who's in college. She's doing fine now, but she had some kind of strange infection, and antibiotics got rid of it. So it's been like quite a test for my family this semester, but everything's good. It's all good, and I will get back and I will answer your questions, and I may record some videos for some of your questions in the questions forum, and I'll get caught up on the grading. But go ahead and start the reading, and this is a short chapter. Work together on the lab so that you're kind of in the chill mode for Thanksgiving. I'll turn on jQuery, the jQuery module, just before Thanksgiving, and it will be the last major module with an assignment, and then you have the rest of the semester. We'll take a look at Ajax and JSON, and I have a very simple final, which is actually just review for you. Okay, thanks for being patient, and I'll check in with you through the week.